History remains in the hands of voters. In just a few hours, we will know who the next mayor of Detroit will be. It's the first time in 12 years the city will have a new mayor after Mike Duggan announced last year he was not seeking re-election. Now voters must decide between Mary Sheffield and Solomon Kinloch. We're joined by host of Michigan Matters, Carol Cain. Big day. Thanks for being on with us.
History in the making. It's the democratic process. It's what we do.
Absolutely. All right, you've spoken with both of these major candidates here. What stood out to you over the campaign season?
It was interesting to talk to two of them. So Mary Sheffield, been a politician, president of city council. She has been there by Mike Duggan's side through a lot of what's taken place here, and that's how a lot of people are looking at what will she do as mayor, continue the momentum, particularly in Detroit, if she is successful, as polls seem to indicate. Also, with Solomon Kinloch, I asked him coming out of the primary where he was so far behind, can he make this up? And what would be his vision of it? And he was more than optimistic about it and said it's a whole new slate. And I'm told, again, by people who have been watching what's been going on there, talking with him and his sergeant at arms, if you will, they're heavily into the community, knocking on doors, making calls, and really have got a great ground game going because they don't have the money that Mary Sheffield had. She had 10 to 1 the amount of money that he had available to him.
10 to 1.
10 to 1.
You said something. Mary Sheffield has been at Duggan's side for much of his time in office. Do you think that worked to her favor? Because so many people do have a favorable impression of Duggan's time as mayor. Or do you think she felt the need to differentiate herself and not run on his resume?
Well, obviously she's going to run on her own resume one way or the other here because Mike Duggan is gone. He's, he took himself out running for governor next year. I think that her charge now is to talk about what is she going to do going forward. And it comes down to neighborhoods, economic development, keeping the momentum when you're not going to have the kind of federal funds and things that Washington has been providing through much of Duggan's time there with Joe Biden first as vice president, then as president, with COVID funds, other thing. That won't be there this time. And there's still a lot of challenges the city has. So how do they accomplish, how do they get rid of the divide that still exists in the city? How do they get involved in neighborhoods and helping the neighborhoods, which when I talked to both candidates, they both said.
So we spoke with Detroit City Clerk Janice Winfrey about early voting numbers, pretty historically low. I think in the notes we have here, 18 to 20%. What do you make of that voter turnout?
Well, put it this way. It was more than the primary where it was 17%. It's a little bit more, but the question, in fact, that when I talked with Mary, one of the things I said to her, because she had such a huge lead, are you worried about complacency? They had voters saying, she's got this. They don't need to show up today. So, and this is where Kinloch going out and getting people going through the community, that's a little bit of a concern. But again, the polling has been pretty pronounced, pretty much showing she has an edge through this.
Let's not forget Duggan was write-in.
And if anybody can do anything unusual, it's Mike Duggan, who's now running as independent. So who would have thought that 2 years ago? I don't know.
All right, last question for you. What do you make of each candidate's vision for the future?
Well, with Mary, you're going to have, I think, continuation of what Duggan's doing. He endorsed her almost immediately. Continuing on that, again, she talked about neighborhoods, economic development. When I talked to Kinloch, he talked about neighborhoods having more people being part of the process and also having opportunities for young folks. And again, they both talked about safety and crime and infrastructure. So anyways, we still have a few more hours to say. People are still voting, so we don't want to say this is definitely the end of the story here.
All right, Carol Cain, thank you.
Thanks
we'll
so
see you in just a bit.